All right, what's up, motherfuckers? We lost some money last week. That happens. It's alright. We had a good game plan. We just traded like shit. And that happens. You know, when you catch a random knife on a Wednesday afternoon and the puts that you could have taken go from $15 to $5,000, kind of stings a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. It happens. That's a part of the journey. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to be doing some TA on some setups that I see for the end of the year. Hopefully, we end up actually making a move, opposed to what was kind of like pretty mid this week. So let's just get right into it. Microsoft, this is the 2 hour chart. We're looking for big data points. You feel what I'm saying? Those big data points give us what? Some nice support and resistance lines. Shows us where liquidity is being grabbed and also shows us where we can enter and we can also exit. So just looking at Microsoft here, you can see that we're on a very heavy uptrend excuse me. See, I can't even talk. I'm so excited from a spot that has a ton of support, right? We done bounced there, we done rejected up here into an area where there's what? Tons of resistance. So, with that being said, what do I think Microsoft may do this week? I think Microsoft may moon, genuinely. I would love to see a break of this 375 area. And then after we break out of this area where there's just, this is the decision area type thing between this 375 and this 376. What is that? 376.40 level. So there's a lot of indecision here. And a lot of the rule makers obviously sit here as we've broken down from this 375 level. And as we've broken above that and rejected. When we did break above and we confirmed, we ended up mooning. So there are a multitude of things that can happen. My main point of resistance that I see is this 375 area heading up into that 376.40. Over that, I'd love to see that 377.30. And over that, I would love to see this area. This would be a big max take profit for me, would be around this 379.45 area, call it 380. And above that, I mean, right here we have also some resistance at this 380.88 level, call it 381. So that's kind of what I'm looking for to the upside. And that's, again, with my bias. Now, looking to the downside, however, if we do decide to break this trend, consolidate here, retest it, and reject, I still do think we'll come up to this 377 area, and then further reject to the downside. A downside break for that, rather, we would need this 373.16. Underneath that, I mean, I would really just love to see this 370. Again, it's kind of the same game plan that I've had for quite a while at this point, as the stock's just been kind of trading within this very nice range, right? This 366.68 level all the way to this 377.30 level. I mean, it's an 11-point range. Why not play it? So that's kind of what I see for the downside. If this 373.16 breaks, we get this 370.41. Under that, we get this 366.68. That's what I would ultimately like to see for some downside action. So the next mover we got on our list is SMCI. We talked about this big kahuna last week. We ended up breaking underneath that 300 level, and that ended up giving us this 280, what was the low? 285.15, right? From there, we bounced back over this 287.31. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, you feel me? But this is also a very good level you should add to your chart, as this area is just a big area of confidence, right? Bounce up high from here, we break down low from here also. Bounce up high, we're kind of teetering right now in between that area where we can continuously go to the downside, or where we're actually building up for a move back to the upside, right? Now, if that move is going to be violent, it has to reclaim that 300, and it has to do it hard, and it has to do it, with some integrity. It's some integrity, you know what I'm saying? So That's what I'd be looking for on SMCI. Again, this is the 2 hour chart. So a close above that 300, potentially would be worth the long. However, I really just think we may retest this 300 level and then end up falling back to the downside. If we don't, take the break of the 300 after it confirms its retest, because there's obviously a ton of buyers within this specific area. As we've talked about a multitude of times before, it's a psych level, it's a whole number. So with that being said, the rejection of that level of 300 would give us further downside, in my opinion. So kind of just what I'm looking for. We're kind of in like a broadening, channel right now. We're continuously just, tapping within this range. So, or the range of the channel rather. So yeah, it's kind of just what I see. I'd love to see a reclaim of that 300, if not a reclaim, at least a retest, in order for me to short it back to the downside again. That 300 level would give us this 306.74. 306.74. Honestly, I would see this 317.45. Like, we got some good range, in between this 306 and 317 level. So that's kind of ultimately what I'd like to see, is a break of that, and then maybe even a retest of that. Now, if we break this previous higher high, then I do think that we will get that big initial move to that 338, and then possibly into all-time highs. But we'll just have to see what kind of plays out. To the downside, however, 282.16. If we close under this 287.31. And then I would like to see, I kind of don't have some levels here, huh? And then I would like to see this 277.67 level. 277. And then honestly, I mean, within this range, at least from this 273.94, so 274 to 270.52. That's kind of also what I'd like to see for more downside. Breaking that would give us this 262.77, but that's kind of all that I'm looking for, is a relatively large bounce into a rejection that may give us some more downside. All right. The fucking lizard man is up to something, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but we all kind of need to find out, because Meta has been absolutely ripping. It's been on a fucking tear. So, this is a move that I entirely missed. I mean, I had some levels down here, a little too many, some would say. So, I mean, I don't know why I didn't take this trade, but I didn't. Nonetheless, this is what we have now, and where we're at now. So obviously you can see that we've created an extremely healthy uptrend, creating this low here, and then a higher low, more higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and now we are coming back to the same exact area, in which we're retesting the trend. So what we'd obviously want to see is a massive bounce up off of this trend, in order for it to be confirmed yet again, for us to have confirmation for an upside move. A break of this, due to how healthy it was, I think that a break of this would be super violent for a little bit, before we got a retest. So I would, in my opinion at least, I would short this trend break, as it could be just a very quick flash move, for some contracts that hit 30, 40, 50%. Nonetheless, this is what I would like to see for a bounce. If we come down and we retest this trend again, I would like to see over this 353.44. We're not that far off. Above that, I would like to see this 353.97, 354. And then most definitely this area right here, this 354.33, I believe will actually be a big trigger for a move to the upside. Only because, we've continuously rejected. When we came back down, we fell through, we rejected again. And on this side as well, we started to sell off a little bit, right? Nonetheless, I mean, this looks like it's going to be an insane mover, regardless of which way it goes. So that's what I'm betting on to the upside is those specific levels, and then obviously continuously breaking higher over here. So my maximum take profit would probably be around this 357.45 area. Now to the downside, what do I see? I would love to see this level get retested here, this 351.25, as it's kind of just like a little line in the sand, right? Again, it's basically a point of confidence. As you can see, we bounced here, and we came up through here, rejected, blah, blah, blah. We ended up falling through here. After we continuously rejected it a multitude of times, we ended up also falling. So I would love to see this 351.21 level break in order for us to go down to this. Honestly, I would say potentially around this area, this 350 level exactly. And then down to this 349.29, down to 348.55. And then this area 347.34. And then I would finally love to see this 344 level. So if we're going to get a break to the downside, this move may happen over the course of a couple weeks. If it does not, however, I do think that this would be either up here at this 347.53 or down here at this 344 would be one of the main areas that we retest. So yeah, that's kind of just what I'm looking for with Meta. So we're looking at Avgo yet again. Bitch was making all-time highs just last week, 2 weeks ago. And then this week, we got some pretty mid price action, in my opinion at least. I thought it was truly terrible. I was kind of not enjoying it. Unless you caught the tops or the bottoms, you really couldn't do much. This was due to Wednesday's, afternoon dump that I was talking about. Nonetheless, I would love to see this breakdown. I would love to see a further breakdown of this stock that was hitting all-time highs and going absolutely insane for just days on an entire week. Like it literally took up everybody's timeline and everything in between. So what I would really like to see is a breakdown of this 1122, or actually what level is it? It's 1121.79. This is the level that I would really like to see break down, as it's been a very heavy point of support, and then hopefully it provides as resistance next. So below that, I would love to see this. I mean, this level is almost perfect. This 1,118.66. Down below that, I would say that we get around this area in this 1114. And then from that 1114, I would just like to see this 1109. This 1109 breaks, we are right away going to this 1105. That 1105 breaks, we are right away going to under 1100, in my opinion. If not, we retest it, and then, we bounce from there. But nonetheless, I would love to see some downside on this, as it's way overdue for some downside. But things can always go higher, as I've learned before, losing thousands of dollars. So don't be like me. Just play with the momentum of the market. And, if something shows its relative strength, play that relative strength. I have lost one too many times in ways that I should not have lost. And I look back and I'm like, why did I do that? Waste of time, waste of money. Don't do that. Nonetheless, that's what I want to see to the downside. To the upside, however, if we do decide to bounce, I'd love to see the 1130 level break, as this was giving some support this past week, and obviously also providing as a big point of resistance, right? So this 1130 is really what I'd like to see as a good trigger for us to head towards this 1135 area. This area was really heavy, so we should definitely, if we're going to go back up, either have some accumulation here or just have an extremely violent move back up, quick retest, and continue to the upside. So over that 1135, I'd like to see 1141. 1141 to 1145, and then honestly back into all-time highs. So that's what I'd like to see. for the upside on Outgo.